If you talk to people who work inside Disney parks, the ride operators, the food vendors, the character performers, the custodial crews, you get a very different picture of the Magic Kingdom than what corporate marketing shows. For guests, Disney World and Disneyland still look shiny and crowded, but behind the scenes, cast members, the people who actually make Disney work, are facing a mix of layoffs, restructuring, morale problems, and labor shifts that tell a story most tourists never see. In late 2025, Disneyland Resort in Anaheim announced it was laying off about 100 cast members across multiple departments, including a limited number of salaried positions. Disney framed the cut as part of a recalibration to align staffing with current operations after a period of heavy hiring once parks reopened fully after the pandemic. But for many cast members and observers, this move raised eyebrows, especially because it came at a time when attendance and ticket prices haven't dramatically fallen. Many crew members saw layoffs as a reminder that Disney's financial priorities have shifted in recent years. This isn't the first time Disney has trimmed its workforce. A few years back, the company pursued a major cost-cutting strategy that included eliminating around 7,000 positions globally as part of a $5.5 billion savings plan, which included marketing, technology, and labor reductions. While not all of those positions were in parks operations, it signaled a broader shift toward corporate efficiency that many cast members felt directly or indirectly. Even today, the aftermath of those cuts is still being felt. Cast members often talk about staffing shortages, longer wait times for ride operations, and slower service in restaurants and shops, all issues guests notice. In many departments, workers feel they're being asked to do more with less, with morale lagging behind the experience Disney tries to sell its customers. Part of the challenge for cast members is that the labor landscape in entertainment and hospitality has changed dramatically since the pandemic. Major industries across film, television, streaming, and theme parks have gone through waves of layoffs and restructuring. In mid-2025, Disney announced it was letting go of several hundred employees globally across film, TV marketing, publicity, and related corporate positions, a move tied to broader strategy realignment, not just parks operations. At the parks themselves, the layoffs also coincide with internal tension over pay, working conditions, and job security. In 2025, some Disney workers were reportedly anxious about potential future job cuts after the company signed major technology partnerships that could reduce the need for certain roles. Staffers have expressed concern that broader adoption of automation and AI tools, even if marketed as productivity boosters, might ultimately threaten job stability. Unionization efforts and labor advocacy have also become central parts of the story. In recent years, Disneyland performers, the dancers, parade talents, character actors, and other live entertainers voted overwhelmingly to unionize to address concerns about inconsistent hours, pay, benefits, and job security. These workers had previously lacked representation even as other Disneyland staff were unionized. That union vote represented a significant shift in the way Disney cast members think about their work and leverage collective bargaining. Cast members who remain often describe a work environment that's increasingly stressful. Many speak about being asked to cover multiple roles, stretched thin due to staffing changes, or dealing with slower maintenance and upkeep in their areas because of budget constraints. Workers sometimes have to juggle responsibilities that previously would have been handled by broader teams, from ride operations to guest services. Beyond layoffs and staffing issues, there are isolated but telling moments that point to cast member frustration. For example, there was a widely reported episode where several Disney World employees felt pressured to stay on duty even as Hurricane Milton approached Central Florida. Workers said communication felt poor and that they felt unsafe, suggesting a disconnect between corporate safety messaging and frontline experiences. Wages themselves have been a long-running source of tension even before recent layoffs. In the early 2020s, Disney raised its minimum wage for U.S. parks employees to about $18 an hour under union contracts that extend through October 2026. While that was a step forward compared with historical wage levels, many workers point out that Florida and California have high living costs, and inflation has outpaced wage gains, meaning Disney employees often still struggle with everyday expenses. The wage and staffing issues connect back to broader criticism of Disney's strategy. Critics say the company is increasingly prioritizing shareholder returns and revenue growth over employee experience, especially in its parks division. The focus on upselling, price increases, paid add-ons, and new revenue streams can create tension when cast members feel like the cost burdens of running parks are being offloaded onto staff as well as guests. From an employee perspective, being a Disney cast member in 2025 is a very different narrative than it was a decade ago. It used to be that Disney employment was reliably stable and viewed as a career, a place where you could grow over years or even decades. Today, many worry about job security, rapid changes in expectations, and the company's direction. Layoffs and restructuring, even when described as recalibration, often feel like precursors to more uncertainty. Disney's leadership, for its part, typically frames these changes as necessary adjustments to remain competitive and to position the parks for future success. With the global entertainment landscape shifting, streaming, international parks, and new investments in technology, Disney argues it needs flexibility to continue funding major expansions and creative projects. But cast members and labor advocates worry that this flexibility comes at the expense of the people who make the parks run day after day. None of this means Disney is in crisis as a company. Far from it. The parks continue to post strong attendance numbers, ticket prices are rising, and many guests still flock to the resorts in huge numbers. But cast member sentiment is a leading indicator of the long-term health of the Disney experience. When the people who deliver the magic feel undervalued or insecure, it weakens the very foundation of the guest experience tourists pay so much to enjoy. And that's the heart of the story. Disney cast members aren't a cost center. They're the human core of the parks. The ride operators who greet you with a smile, the costumed characters who make childhood dreams come true, the custodial staff who keep things clean, and the behind-the-scenes workers who solve problems long before guests notice them. If their morale, security, and working conditions are slipping, it won't just affect their livelihoods. It will eventually show up in the parks themselves. In 2025, Disney is still the biggest name in themed entertainment, but the way it treats its cast members, layoffs, recalibration strategies, technology anxiety, and labor pressures is reshaping internal culture and impacting how the parks operate. For everyone who's ever wondered what it's like to work inside the happiest place on earth, the truth is becoming harder to ignore. The magic is still there in the storybook castles and fireworks, but behind the scenes, the people who bring that magic to life are facing some of the toughest changes in Disney history.